Okay, so thanks again for joining us. We're so happy you're here. Um, Today's webinar, we're going to focus on getting familiar with NHA's platform and website as a new administrative user. So here at NHA, we are fully invested in the success of you and your candidates. We take pride in doing what's right and are not afraid to use our voice if it moves the industry forward. We're here to help ensure that all of your learners, no matter their background or their needs, feels confident and empowered to complete their required learning or earn their accredited certification. So let's do a brief introduction to NHA. But before we talk about us, I wanted to take a quick moment to get to know you. I'm going to launch a couple of polls. I'm assuming this first one went on the screen. We just want to know what your role is with your institution. Are you a classroom educator, work directly with learners? Are you proctoring, program director, career counselor? Um, if it's other, please post in the chat what it is. Awesome. Getting quite a few responses. And oops, I think I launched the wrong poll. Let's see. Let's go back, guys. Here it is. Sorry about that. All right. Now it should be launched. Here is your role. And again, if it's other, just post it in the chat. Give it a few more seconds. You were probably reading that previous poll thinking, what is she talking about? Awesome. Okay. We still have a pretty wide range. I'm gonna cancel or end the poll right now. Final answers. So I'll share those results. Most of you are classroom educators working directly with learners, but we've got, kind of a wide variety here. So thank you so much for that. And then I was going to launch one more, but here it is. Let's see. Okay. I already launched this one and it's not going to let me do it again. So the poll that you answered first was the second one that I meant to post. So thank you so much for that. We do record those answers, so I will keep those. Okay, so during today's session, here's a little agenda. We're going to review NHA and the resources we provide. We'll talk through your access to the NHA website and how you can be fully enabled to run your program from there. And then we'll even do a live walkthrough before getting to Q&A. So remember to stick around with us through the end so that you can be entered into that raffle. All right, so now that we've seen a little bit about you through those first two polls, you should know that NHA is the largest frontline healthcare worker certification organization in the industry. We've got over 1 million certified candidates, and we're leading the industry, and we use the resources and information from our experiences and our learning partners to create learning materials that widen their skills and abilities within the health field and have shown to help candidates have a higher potential to earn their nationally accredited certification. Those resources come in many formats, starting with our nationally accredited certifications in two sections. So 5 of the 8 certifications fall within the practitioner side of frontline healthcare, including medical assistant, phlebotomist, pharmacy technician, EKG, and patient care technician. There are also 3 certifications in an administrative capacity, which include billing and coding, medical administrative assistant, and e-health records. In addition, NHA develops comprehensive learning tools around key learning objectives for the healthcare professions that we serve. These resources range from didactic learning in medical terminology or anatomy and physiology to the development of essential soft skills, as well as clinical skills for medical assistants, administrative assistants, and pharmacy technicians. These can be used across the entire learner's journey and can be packaged together to provide a comprehensive learning experience from start to finish. So, now that you've seen a little bit about NHA, let's talk about the possible resources a little more in depth. But before we do, we're going to do another poll here. And I would like to know, hmm, well, I was hoping to know what you are most looking forward to taking away from today. Um, Unless someone on the line is launching these polls on my team, which I don't believe you are, I don't think they're going to be working today. So as I continue, maybe just pop in the chat box and just kind of give us some info on what you're expecting to take away from today. Actually, I think I just got it to work. All right, you should see it on your screen now. We just want to know, this also helps us to make future presentations, future webinars. Want to make sure that our content is what you're hoping for. Awesome. Thank you all. Okay. I'll end that poll in just a couple seconds. So get your last votes in. And I did just see that someone raised their hand. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to even let you come off of mute. If you have a question, would you please just post it in the Q&A? All right, so I'm going to end this poll and I'm going to share the results with you. Hope everybody can see those. So most of you here are just kind of brand new to NHA and need to know everything. But we've also got a mixture of all of the different sets of knowledge. So again, if it's other, please post it in the chat. Alrighty. So let's get back to this. All right, so everyone here on this webinar should have already received a confirmation email from nhanow.com with a prompt to set up your administrative login. If you haven't seen this, just check your spam box or your junk mail. This email will walk you through the first steps to set up your administrative login, which you can access at nhanow.com. Once logged in, you have access to almost everything you could need to manage your learners and your account just right from this home screen. So this is your dashboard, and it's broken into two main categories. The center of the screen will provide you quick access to NHA's supplemental resources. This first link under the Get Started section will take you to test plans for all of NHA's 8 nationally accredited exams, and they're all available just to download straight from here. So this is an important area for you to know, what NHA's exams will cover and to provide that information to your students or your candidates. We know that this info is important to both of you. And that actually leads me to call out some information around a study that NHA completed recently from over 6,000 candidates across the country to try and uncover what the common themes are for what the biggest hurdles were for them to take their NHA exam. So out of the options listed here, what do you think was the most common concern or issue reported? And I just launched another poll. I'll give you all a few moments to read through these. I don't think they meet the exam eligibility requirements, can't afford, or it's not covered by the school, don't see value, schools or employers don't require it, or test anxiety and low confidence to pass. All right, I think the submissions have slowed down. So I'm going to go ahead and close that and I'll share those results. So all of those were issues and hurdles that were reported from that survey. But the most common one was test anxiety or low confidence to pass, which is what most of you thought as well. We know that this hurdle can be addressed through preparation. So this is one of the many reasons why it is a best practice to get your candidates into their NHA accounts as soon as possible. We send them welcome emails, information on preparing for their exams, reminders, and things of that nature. So thanks for your feedback there. Okay, so here are some of the hundreds of comments from that survey that focused on that uncertainty or uncertainty not just around general anxiety, but not knowing if they're prepared. Have they learned all the things that they need to know and worry about making it through the timed exam? That can definitely be intimidating. So providing the exam test plans and NHA's resources or learning tools have really shown to make a positive impact. Okay, so going back to the other resources here to help with all of this is in your get started area. Um, these orange bars, the information in them may rotate, throughout the calendar year, just to provide you access to quick links around kind of the first and main steps and frequently asked questions, as well as resources on testing or implementing NHA's materials. If you scroll down a little bit here, it will show you some of the most used resources, how-to resources that will walk you through the administrative steps that you need to manage your NHA account. And right there on the right, that Knowledge Center, this is a great place to come for questions, or if you want any sort of pre-made resource to share with your learners. So here you can do an open search for any resource that you may need, or you can look through those different categories. Some for you, educator and employer resources, some that your student might need, and so on. So this option over here is where you can go for exam guides and resources to be able to access any forms or technical requirements, or like I mentioned, you can search at the top for any resource or step that you need. Okay, so like NHA's Exam Ready checklist, which is a resource for administrators walking through the month or so before an exam occurs, the Library of Resources has additional tools for you as well. So searching through this page will take you to video guides and PDFs to help you, including, setting up the learning content, providing access to candidates, opening exam dates, viewing reporting and monitoring applications and results. Really, there are even tools to share with your learners to help them go through their preparation process. The NHA exam online study materials are based on the NHA test plan for that certification. And they are made up of an interactive study guide, as well as a series of practice tests that are designed to look and feel just like the exam. So this kind of package also provides the NHA focused review, which is a personalized study feature to help candidates as they navigate through their practice tests. These should be assigned digitally to each candidate so that they can move through the materials on their own, as well as provide adequate reporting for both group and individual learner growth. That focused review I just mentioned is a secondary tool, which is separate from the study guide, and it's specific to each practice test attempt to help candidates focus further on those areas that they still may be struggling in. So those study packages are available for prepping for any of the NHA exams. So keep that in mind. But now let's review the other learning materials available from NHA. All right, so starting with core learning, NHA has learning content focused on either anatomy and physiology or medical terminology. These address just the right amount of content for learners in entry level roles through interactive and engaging online materials. NHA has a full pharmacy technician suite of materials that start with inherent learning on becoming a pharmacy technician through the pharmacier. Though mapped to NHA's exam, it is designed to meet the ASHP didactic standards for learning in this critical role. We also have primary learning tools on medical math, dosage and calculations in the pharmacier math learning resource. And then there are skills developers for your medical assistants as well, which include the MA Skills Builder Clinical and Clinical Plus. These provide an interactive learning experience to help develop and execute 39 clinical competencies that employers are needing in an entry level medical assistant. And in the Clinical Plus product, it also addresses the core foundational knowledge necessary behind those skills. In NHA's medical administrative assistant skills developers, the MA Administrative and Administrative Plus focus on the technical and job ready knowledge to handle front and back office administrative responsibilities in skills development and core knowledge. So we know that the clinical skills are essential. Administrative duties are a large part of the MA's roles. So these tools are also applicable for your office administrative staff as well. Additional skills developers or career laddering options include providing upskilling in professionalism, starting with personability. This is available in both the clinic or the pharmacy setting, and it uses online simulations and role play to develop abilities in teamwork and emotional intelligence, also communication. You can ladder further by leveraging principles of health coaching, which is another immersive learning tool with realistic scenarios to continue the learning in communication, but also population health management and motivational interviewing. If you are in a patient centered care environment, any member of the care team would deepen their understanding of what it means to work in this quality versus quantity environment by using the assessment based certificate program called team based care. And another resource that you can obtain from your NHA representative are NHA's implementation guides. So these guides outline the content, implementation suggestions, and even the average time it should take for a candidate to navigate through any of NHA's study materials. You can see here just on this little snapshot shot across just 4 of our 8 certification prep packages, that the time it takes an average candidate to work through just the study tutorial portion can really range widely. So these resources are available for all of NHA's learning material. Okay, so specifically for all of NHA's core learning resources, and for some of our exam materials, we also provide implementation toolkits that can include downloadable and editable PowerPoint presentations that are aligned with the core learning. We have optional lesson plans that outline the core content and suggestions for implementation. We have optional additional testing banks and resources to implement. There are additional activities to help kind of scrub and polish the learning. There are walkthrough videos that are unique to just that product and its content, and then mapping resources to accreditations, textbooks, and test plans, of course. In fact, we have some mapping resources for our exam preparation materials as well, you can request these from your NHA representative, and these are called alignment guides. These are unique to the certification type, and they include an outline of the full test plan, identifying how many scored questions there will be on the exam in each of the different content domains. This will also map out where in the NHA study guide that content is covered, and if there are any additional resources within that learning content to help with the process. This could even include videos or games. This really is a wonderful tool to use to align to your students' learning, as well as review your program content to ensure there aren't any large gaps in the learning materials. And then there's an open few columns as well so that you can plug in where in your book, in your week, or your program that you're kind of covering that core content. And then NHA also has full program maps that you could use to implement any or all of these products and help with the learner journey from start to finish. And on the screen now is just one example from our medical assistant pathway, but we do have many different versions. If you would like to know more about these, just reach out to your NHA representative. They're very helpful. Okay, so I just want to pause. Got a couple of team members on the line. Have there been any questions, anything to address? I know we kind of got messed up with the polls there, but has there been anything, team?
In the chat right now, there is a really great question on
Okay.
kind of on practice tests.
Hmm. Should I pull it up here? I'll pull it up.
Yeah, that maybe we could show them, talk about like the
Okay.
focused review.
If I see that several of my students, based on their practice tests, need more practice on some topic like calculating days, supplier systems of measurement, how do I locate that skill in a module so that we can review it as a class? Oh, yeah, that is a really great question. So, I guess depending on which certification we're talking, we do have study guide table of contents where you can see, what each study guide module covers, and then also kind of the lessons within the module or kind of the sub content areas. I think that that would be the best way to do that. I'm just rereading your question, but um, also in their focused review that they are given, um, it's going to show them exactly where that content is located. They can download their focused review um, and email it to you. Um, but then also in the Learning Insights Center, which I could probably walk through during our live demonstration here in a few moments, I can probably show you where to find that as well. So that's a really good question. All right. Thank you. Anything else, team?
That was all in chat.
Awesome. All right. So I know that that was kind of a lot that we just covered. That survey link that you'll get at the end of today's session, please be sure to note if you'd like anyone to follow up with you directly on any of the resources that we are reviewing. Your NHA contact will be able to follow up with you with more information and answers. So now that we've seen your resources, let's talk about your access to the website and then even get into that live demonstration. All right, so we have reviewed the resource part of the dashboard, but the other portion of the NHA website is on the left-hand side in your navigation bar. This is where you can find your administrative shortcuts from viewing your inventory and creating your courses to pulling reports for your program and study materials, monitoring candidate applications and exam results. And depending on your role, aligning or excuse me, adding or removing additional administrative users. And then you can even view your exam calendar, create test dates, and proctor the exam all from here. In fact, right from here is where you can get your learners started with creating their personal logins. So It's very important to note right here that if your institution is using NHA's LMS integration, you want to follow the normal steps for learner access from your LMS. But for everyone else, you can invite your candidates to set up their NHA logins well before providing any learning resources through the account, um, through the account invitation feature right from your home screen. So helping to ensure that all is ready to go when it's time to start their studying. This will get that step out of the way. So as I mentioned earlier, it's a best practice to get your learners set up as early as possible with NHA so that they're ready. And then we really have seen that statistically, those who do get set up earlier are more likely to take their NHA certification exam and even earn that certification. So I'm going to pull up a live demonstration here. Alrighty. So I hope you all can see my screen. I've just logged into my demonstration account here. I just want to kind of elaborate on some of the things that we have talked about. So the first thing is the Help Center. So even before you log into your NHA account, you could just go to our website and locate this Help Center. It takes you directly to what I showed you. I'm sure you recognize this screenshot. This is where you can find um, password reset, exam accommodation request forms, and pre-made how-to resources for both you and your learners. All right, so let's continue walking through some of these tabs on the left. And the first one I want to show you is in this prep materials section, and it's the inventory tab. So this is where you can go at any time to check your current exam prep or learning resource inventory. Um, they'll be listed out here. And these numbers, the inventory that you'll see listed is live. There's not a lag. And I just encourage you to check here before you place an order. Make sure you're using everything you have. And then also before you give your students access to their course, which we'll talk about next. So the courses section here is where the prep materials live, if you will. And essentially a course has to be created that students then enroll in to access their material. So I'm going to quickly walk you through creating a course and getting your learners enrolled in the course. So pretty easy first step here, just this new course button. And you fill in the information. You're always going to start by titling it, and you can title a course anything you want. You just can't ever reuse the same course title. So we always recommend just some sort of timestamp or something specific to that cohort of learners. You have the option to add a start and or end date for the course. This feature mostly serves as a visual organizational aid for your main courses page. Um, then you add your course materials, and to include a product in the course, it's just this little tab, included in course, yes. Once you've got everything in there that needs to be, you scroll all the way to the bottom, click create course. Once your course is created, the next step will be to enroll your learners into the course. So to do that, it's this roster button for the appropriate course, then the invite candidates button. Here's where you can just enter their email addresses. NHA will send them an email letting them know they were invited to join a course with a link. And when they click the link, it'll first prompt them to create their NHA account if they haven't done that yet. And then it will give them access to their materials. Okay. Let's look now down the road for on-site certification exams. So there are two different avenues that a candidate can take when taking an NHA exam. One is through a third party. NHA uses PSI testing centers. So if your institution has learners test through a third party, these next few steps are not going to apply to you. But for the institutions and schools that have learners test on site with a proctor that you provide, your first step to take, or I should say, the first step that needs taken when you know when an exam will be, is to add it to the system. So to add an exam date to the system, it's this tab, Request New Exam. And again, fill in the information. So it obviously requires the exam date. It also requires this application deadline date, which is just that. It's when you want them to apply for the exam by. And it has to be at least 8 days prior to the exam date. If you forget that little 8-day detail, don't worry, the system will prompt you. But a best practice recommendation around that is just go ahead and put the exam dates in when you're sure you know when they'll be, and then shoot to have students apply for their exams around 2 weeks prior. That kind of gives everyone a little wiggle room. Exam details, nothing's required here. Sometimes people will put the room number, location, start time, and also purchase order number may or may not be required by your institution. So you'll have to check on that. Testing method will be online. You select the certification type, and then from the moment you click request exam date up until that application deadline date, learners can apply for their exam. Okay. You can kind of track and monitor who has applied for what exam through this View Exam Applications tab. Two boxes here, so this kind of goes back to involving any third-party testers. You for schools or institutions that have candidates testing through a third party, you can see their applications here as well. And same with first party or on site. When they apply for the exam, their names will appear here. You can view a list of upcoming on-site exams through the Upcoming Exams tab. Okay, you can see them 30, 60, or 90 days out. And then after the certification exam is over, you can view the results right here in the View Exam Results tab. A passing score on all of NHA's exams is 390 points out of a possible 500 points. If they don't pass on their first attempt, they can take it again. They do have to wait 30 days between attempts and pay for it again. And then the same thing, if they don't pass on their second attempt, they can take it a third time, waiting 30 days between attempts, paying for it again. But if they don't pass after that third try, they actually have to wait a full year before they can take it again. Okay. And then the more I thought about the question from that little checkpoint a moment ago, I think this webinar, we don't have time to get that deep. That is a really, really great question. Whoever posted that, would you mind just messaging Lauren Miller or Connie Abrunzo in the chat your your information, and we'll have someone reach out to you, or you could even post it in the Q&A. I think that would be the best way to show you those resources because they're there and they're great. Alrighty. So we're going to get back here to the webinar. And this kind of brings me to my next thing here is, one of the biggest and most important things that we haven't covered today is reporting and the resources that NHA has for those. We do hold additional webinars focusing on just these tools. So for now, just know that the moment a candidate accesses their study materials, no matter what the learning content is, reports begin to load. Okay. And these reports include filterable tools, downloadable PDFs, and truly deep analytics to provide you clarity in your learner's process. NHA's Learning Insights Center has reports that highlight, among other things, progress through the modules, performance in assessments, and time spent in study. So again, today's webinar is not about that content, but we do hold others. So please keep an eye out in the upcoming events page and register for those future sessions, because even if you're not able to attend, we'll still send you the recording. So, as a reminder, NHA does want you to be able to address your questions when they happen. So, we've already reviewed the how to's and the knowledge center, but please know that these self guided resources really are your first line of defense for both you and your students on what to do and the mechanics of how our resources and how our website work. There's tons of great stuff in there. So, you can use it throughout the program, including a best practices video to share with students, as they begin using their prep materials. But then if the answer you need isn't found there, then please use our client care team. They are the live chat and help center phone line and are available extended hours, but not 24 hours. This means that you and your students don't have to wait until your NHA contact is free to answer any questions that are urgent. This group of people are incredible and they're all located here in the US. And their goal is to answer your questions and will help you. And if they can't answer it, they'll direct you to those who can. So please just remember during kind of peak testing times, we might ask for some patience as there are more calls coming in during that time of the year. So in addition, you also have your NHA account representative. If you don't know who your personal contact is, please be sure to include that in the survey that we'll post soon. They're here to help with all other tools and resources to ensure you have everything that you need to be successful and empower your learners to earn their certifications. If you or your institution would like any additional training, either as a group or individually, your client executive can connect you with my team, which is the client experience team, and get something scheduled. All right, so we are going to launch another poll. Darn it. Here we go. This is a revisit of one we did earlier. Um, hoping to learn. Please, of the items that you were hoping to learn today, I guess, please select as many of the items that you now feel more confident in navigating for yourself. Getting some good responses. Thank you very much. We'll leave it open a couple more seconds. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end that. Thank you, everyone. I'll share those results. So yeah, we're kind of, all of them. People have still some needs on those. So like I said, these polls are recorded. So thank you so much for your feedback there. So before we get to Q&A, I just wanted to reiterate that this has been recording. Anyone who registered for this session will receive the recording from today's webinar. And if you can't or if we can't or haven't addressed your question in the Q&A at the end of today, we'll be capturing all questions and we'll work hard to get in touch with you directly for additional assistance. Also, I wanted to take a moment to make sure you all know how truly thankful we are for you. I want to personally thank all of you for all that I know you're doing and for being here with me today. You work incredibly hard, not to mention right now with all that's going on. We all know that you are truly heroes and every day you put yourselves out there and you work crazy hours. So we really do thank you. Okay, I'll open it up for any questions. I haven't been able to keep up with the Q&A or the chat, but either of my team members, do we have any questions to address?
Hannah, can you hear me, Hannah?
Hey, Connie, yeah.
Right, so we did have a question about adding course materials into an LMS. So I did send that person my email address so that we can speak more in depth. But just reach out and we will send you an integration. We can do a walkthrough, but really we can set you up for LMS. There's just a few steps involved. So just reach
Yeah,
out to me, yeah, at that email.
yeah, thank you. Yes. Anything else? I guess I can pull it up too. Lauren, nothing? Okay. All righty. Well, it looks like, yeah, I'm just kind of briefly looking over the webinar chat. It looks like things got covered from what I can see. So, yes, everyone, thank you so much for your time and for your confidence in NHA. Like I said, we will send this recording out, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now, but my team and I will stick around in case there's anything else in the chat. Thank you so much.